We go behind enemy lines. New look Arkansas. Is it going to matter? Offense, defense, all that and more. We cross it over here on a Tuesday, Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into it. Locked On Vols meets Locked On Razorbacks. A little crossover here, Locked On Podcast Network. I am Eric Cain, the host of Locked On Vols, with John Nabors, with Locked On Razorbacks, Tennessee and Arkansas. Neyland Stadium, Saturday at 4:15 Eastern Time, televised on the SEC Network. We'll get your game picks there towards the end. Taylen Green versus Joey Aguilar. All the changes with Arkansas right now, and how these two teams are, man, they're very similar. And we can get into that, right here off the top if you want to, John. Very similar. Explosive offenses. I do think the defenses are different. I think Tennessee's made a lot of plays, actually, defensively, whereas Arkansas hasn't yet. But stat-wise, they're very similar defensively, and it's not very good. Two teams kind of mirroring one another, and I expect a lot of points at Neyland Stadium on Saturday. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you would think, right? It's almost alarming because I don't know if you do the same thing, but anytime the school sends out their game notes for that week on the Monday and they have the breakdown, I love seeing where both teams are at statistically, where they rank in the SEC and where they rank overall. I just like to see that. And it's pretty incredible to see how similar where these numbers are at. The only defense that's worse than Tennessee's is Arkansas in the SEC, it seems, statistically speaking, as far as scoring and all of that goes. And offensively, the only offense or one of the few offenses, I should say, that's better than Arkansas's offense this season has been Tennessee, where they've just been dominant. So it's amazing how similar they are. But the one thing that is different is one team only has one loss and the other one has three. And so I think it's a real fascinating thing for many reasons, obviously, with the chaos and drama that's surrounding Arkansas right here. But both teams coming off a bye week as well. So not anything too major there as far as who has the advantage there. It should be pretty fascinating. I know Tennessee wants to end this losing streak to Arkansas in football, too. I definitely know they want to do that.
Yeah, I think it's at 4 right now. Last win against Arkansas. Of course, they don't play every year, except the last 2 years. Last win for Tennessee, 2012, I believe. And I mean, last year, obviously, Tennessee still made the playoffs. But, I mean, man, you were, I think, ranked number 4th in the country, undefeated at the time. And you roll into Fayetteville, and, I mean, you scored 14 points. I mean, it was awful. Defense was good enough to win that game, but offensively, it was really a pathetic showing. So I think for Tennessee, obviously a little bit of revenge on the mind for those who played in that game. But more than anything, you're just back at home. I mean, Tennessee very much in the playoff conversation here in early October. This is a game for the Volunteers that you have to win if you're going to be in that conversation all year long. Let's talk about Arkansas. I had you on my show last week just to kind of break down all the craziness that's been transpiring in Fayetteville. And it's been a couple of days since, and now it's game week. Talk to me a little bit about Petrino, his staff additions, the mood of the fan base. What's going on in Fayetteville as obviously you distance yourself from the firing of Sam Pittman?
Well, to me, it's been, from the fan perspective, there's a rejuvenated energy, but not an energy as far as just overwhelming excitement. It's more of an overwhelming intrigue because you have been a program and a team that has not performed well this year. And that's why you made a firing of your head coach. And I think a lot of Razorback fans are looking at this where very, very seldom does it happen where you fire the head coach, you put in an interim, and automatically you feel the interim is a better head coach than the previous guy. I mean, that's what's happened. And I don't think that's necessarily a slight at Sam Pittman. It's more just a compliment to Bobby Petrino.
137-71 overall record as a head coach.
Not bad. Not bad. And, of course, a lot of those wins came at Arkansas when Arkansas was at their peak just about 10, 15 years ago. So there's just a lot of elements to it that have made people get interested once again. I don't think that's changed anyone's expectation for, in these final 7 games, I see 4 wins like that. It does not done that, especially considering Arkansas's biggest problem this year has been defense, and they're going up against the number 1 offense in Tennessee on the road. With the first official game as Bobby Petrino being the head coach. So I don't think there's a lot of expectation, but it's more of an intrigue of like, all right, well, it can't get any worse defensively, so maybe they do some things better. Maybe they change some things here and there that makes it a little bit more competitive. The mood is strong, but I think most Razorback fans are just kind of playing it week to week and just seeing what this is all about and hoping and praying that Bobby Petrino has a plan for not only Tennessee, but for the rest of the season.
Yeah, we're going to get back into this game specifically. I promise this is a crossover for what's coming up on Saturday, but I am just intrigued, right? And it does play a role into kind of, the Tennessee's perspective on this matchup. Number one, why two-parter? Number one, why would Arkansas fans not be jacked up and excited? I mean, this is your most successful head coach in quite some time, right? I mean, we all know how it ended, and it was unceremonious, and it was bad. But the dude won games. And two, what does Bobby Petrino have to do this year the rest of the way, knowing the schedule coming up, to solidify that head coaching job for the future?
Yeah, it's an element that it'd be one thing if you just gave the interim spot to Travis Williams, for instance, the recently fired defensive coordinator, and you knew he had no shot at getting the job as a permanent coach, and you could just move on. But that's not what's happening right now. It's just another element to where, well, it's Bobby Petrino. He's the interim. He's wanting the job. He says publicly he wants the job, and he's going to be motivated. He's motivated right now to showcase that he's the best man for this job. I'm not saying that, oh, well, before he wouldn't be, but now that he wants the job, he's going to be even more motivated. It's just you want to see how that plays out. And I think that with Arkansas fans, they're excited about that because Arkansas was so bad in so many things, so many basic things. Not even just talking about this season, but just in general under Sam Pittman. And Sam Pittman did a lot of good things, but Sam Pittman, for instance, he was not the greatest at clock management or timeout management. Not the greatest at decision making of when to go for it, when not to go for it, when to go to a field goal or when to punt, or when to go to the fakes. There was a lot of those. And I think Razorback fans are hoping that those little changes here and there can make the difference because, as we brought up, the one possession losses have been just awful for Arkansas, and it's the little things that make the difference. So I think Hog fans are just hoping because you still got the same players, still got the talent there. But is it a matter of, hey, just these little tweaks here and there? Can it make that big of a difference? You're hopeful, but I think people are excited that if you're going to have an interim coach, Bobby Petrino is definitely not the worst interim coach to ever have.
No doubt, no doubt. Arkansas started the season off 2-0, 52-7 win over Alabama A&M, a 56-14 winner over Arkansas State. Has since dropped 3 straights. On the road at Ole Miss, 1-possession game, 41-35. On the road at Memphis, a 1-point loss, 32-31 in a game that Arkansas should have won. And then Notre Dame in that second half really got away from them. That was the final nail there for Pittman, 56-13. Meanwhile, Tennessee is 4-1. 1-1 in SEC play. Wins over some cupcakes. Syracuse in the opener, a big win. From the score wise, a 3-point overtime loss to Georgia at home, and then an overtime win against Mississippi State. I think it's interesting, man. Mississippi State might go winless in the conference again, but that is a much better football team. Like, they're not bad at all. So anyway, that's kind of where Tennessee's path is to this point. And Tennessee, at home is really, really good. Tennessee's lost to only Georgia at home the past 3 seasons. So an interesting, to get back to home and see what Tennessee's got in this one. Let's talk about the defenses real quick. For Arkansas first, realistically, how much can change in, the span of 2 weeks with a bye week? I know he brought in some outside people and promoted the defensive line coach, but how much can actually change for Arkansas defensively, if anything?
I think it can change, but it's a margin. It's marginally. I believe that there are things you can do simply. When I say simply, as in like just effort. Like, hey, just giving effort, boom, that improves you a little bit. Petrino talked about in his press conference earlier this week about simplicity of your stance. Just, hey, we got to work on some things for the defensive stances that these guys are in. Positioning. It makes it sound so simple when it's put that way. But at the same time, you lack depth on the defensive line. You have a couple of guys that are good at pass rushing. I think Quincy Rhodes is really good at it. And I also believe that Phillip Lee has come along, but you got nobody else. And as we know, and we saw it with Florida last week against Texas, if you have an elite pass rush, you can change a game. And Arkansas struggled with that. So, you can be better where, say, hey, can you go from the 16th defense in the SEC to 14th? Sure, yeah, I could see that happening. But to think that this is just going to turn on a dime and suddenly Arkansas is going to hold Tennessee to 14 points again this season like they did a year ago, I think is just not the case. But marginally, I think they can at least be a little bit better because it's hard to be much worse than what we've seen.
Yeah, Tennessee defensively, man. They've scored several touchdowns defensively. They've forced a ton of takeaways. They're leading the nation in sacks per game. They just had the bye week, so they're not leading it total wise now because they're a game behind. Top 10 in TFLs. They do a lot well. Defending the pass has not been great. Defending the run has not been great. Tennessee's been banged up. We can make excuses all day, but I mean, Tennessee's lost a ton of starters, but still, I mean, losing contain, missed tackles, stuff like that. But again, I think that there's a lot of boom and bust with the Tennessee defense where in years past, I mean, last year's defense was elite, but like in 2022 and 2021, there was a whole lot of bust. There wasn't a whole lot of boom. At least there's some boom in this regard for Tennessee, and they've got some really impact players. Aaron Carter's leading the FBS, I believe, in tackles, SEC in tackles, and Colton Hood is being talked about as a high round draft pick at corner. And they got a bunch of guys on the defensive front too. So should be interesting. Let's get into these offenses here coming up in just a moment. Locked On Vols meets Locked On Razorbacks as we continue on here, this crossover edition here of the Locked On Podcast Network. This episode is brought to you in part by PrizePicks. Every day we make decisions, but on PrizePicks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement this football season with PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. Playing PrizePicks is so much fun. Simple way to add more excitement to watching football. You just pick more or less than a player projection, like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley's rushing for a touchdown, and you're in the game. At least two, no more than six. Again, it's as simple as more or less. You can cross-grid your things. You can do college football. You can do NFL. They have all sports as well. NBA, whenever the season rolls back around. College basketball, Major League Baseball playoffs happening right now. All that and more. It's as simple as more or less. No more than six, more than two. Fill out your grid and watch the winnings roll in. Download the PrizePicks app today and use that promo code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is Locked On College for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. All right, welcome back here to Locked On Crossover Edition, Locked On Razorbacks, Locked On Vols. I'm Eric Cain alongside John Nabors. We talked defense a little bit. What Arkansas did to Tennessee last year, which really gave Josh Heupel and Nico and all the guys problems last year, an odd front, three high safeties. And Josh Heupel made mention in the press conference on, I guess it was Monday, he was like, I mean, they've got a lot of changes on the defensive side of the football. We don't know exactly what we're going to get, but we know what Arkansas did last year that gave us a lot of issues. So if I'm Arkansas, I'm doing that. I'm starting there, right? Because why wouldn't you? Any idea what Arkansas is going to throw at Tennessee, knowing that it's not like you said, it's not like Arkansas has much to lose defensively, but knowing that you had success against this brand, it's a little bit different offense, but still this offense last year, it feels like a three high safety look is somewhere where you should start.
I mean, yeah, I think you should because, listen, it's not to say that – because I believe Josh Heupel is a good coach, and he's going to be a good enough coach to say, hey, whatever it was causing us fits, we're not going to do that again and try to play into that hand again. He's going to make adjustments. It's just a matter of, hey – roll it out there and make them beat you with it again. Yep. Make them try to showcase that, yeah, they know what we did last year and we can't do it this year. And then have the backup plan. Go from there if the adjustments have been made. But to me, Arkansas, because of they fired the entire defensive staff. Petrino's there. They brought in, as far as John Hayes is the guy who's coaching defensive line right now. He's the guy that coached at the Cincinnati Bengals. Never even met any of these players up until a week ago. I know. So it's a very weird situation, but to me,
the defensive line coach, he got promoted, right, to DC.
It was the assistant defensive line coach.
Okay.
Yeah, so because they fired the D-line coach Deke Adams, Travis Williams, who was the linebacker coach and defensive coordinator, and Marcus Woodson, who was the safeties coach and co-defense coordinator. So I mean, they fired the main ones, but yeah, it's a matter of can they do those things to just slow down? Because I think Arkansas is going to score points. I think Arkansas's offense with Petrino, they're going to get out there, but can the defense just do enough? They have not done anything well at all. They just really haven't. So I think you got to start with what you know. And I think there's a lot of these defensive players that know what they did last season and then go from there. And so if that happens, that's Arkansas's best chance. Because if we see the same Razorback defense we've seen over the past couple of weeks, I think Tennessee will be able to call their score of whatever they want. And they can walk out of there with 70 points like they scored earlier this year.
And the difference between last year's offense for Tennessee and this year's offense for Tennessee, explosiveness has returned, right? I mean, Joey Aguilar has been the perfect fit in this system, and he's been awesome, right? He's completing 65% of his passes, 13 touchdowns, 1,459 yards. He was leading the conference in both those categories prior to the bye week. He's among the SEC leaders in so many different categories, quarterback rating and all that. He's been really good, man. He throws he's very accurate. He's got 5 picks, and I know I'm nitpicking here, right? But I mean, that's what we do on these shows. you can make the argument that 4 of those picks are not on him. I know that seems like a stretch. Razorback fans, you're hearing me say that. Oh, look at this homer, talk about his quarterback, right? But literally, I mean, one time the receiver, dropped and slipped and he threw it right to the defender. 2 were off the hands of Miles Kitzelman. I mean, one was pass interference and the ball was tipped up in the air for 13 seconds. Like, he's not been consistently putting the ball in harm's way, and that was kind of the stigma of him coming from App State to UCLA to Tennessee. But he's been really good, man. He's giving a great catchable ball down the field, hitting guys in stride at times, but also when you're not hitting guys in stride, he's underthrowing them, giving them an opportunity to go up there and make the play or to get pass interference. And so he's been phenomenal, and Tennessee's offense has really built off that. Tennessee's still running the football okay, not as good as last year. A new look offensive line where Tennessee had to replace 4 starters, hadn't even missed a beat. And oh yeah, your 5-star plus starting right tackle, who's a true freshman, missed the first 4 games of the year, finally got in and got some action against Mississippi State, and he should be good to go in this one as well. So this offense has been, it's looked great for Tennessee, and a lot of that's obviously because of Joey Aguilar. Tennessee gonna have to worry about another really good quarterback, Taylen Green. Stat-wise, he's top 5 quarterback across every stat in the SEC. And what's intriguing to me, I knew he ran, John. I did not know that yards gained before sacks. He has the second most rushing yards gained in the conference as a quarterback. Like, it's incredible, man. I mean, Tennessee did a pretty good job of bottling him up last year. It's going to be a little bit more of a tall task this year in Taylen Green.
No, absolutely. Which, by the way, last year's game too, neither team turned the ball over between Arkansas and Tennessee. So that was, I think, also a really big factor of why it was so close. And but yeah, it's the thing is Taylen. He's such a great player when he's at his best. But his worst is it gets bad. It's just one or the other. And I think Taylen's grown as a player, but he's also been the type of guy where if he just makes a simple mistake, and when I say simple, one errant throw, where it doesn't even have to get picked, just a bad throw, it's going to impact him a little bit, but it's a matter of how long does it impact him. Last year, it would impact him for the rest of the game, or at least for a quarter or two until they got to halftime. This year, it's just, okay, does it a possession or two, but then he settles back in. And I think Petrino has done a really good job of trying to get that confidence back as quickly as possible when he does it. And that's when Taylen's at his best. But when he is at his best, it is hard to stop him with those legs, man. He has been, I call him third and Taylen almost, because I cannot tell you how many times Arkansas's had third and long, 10 yards or more, and they got the first down because he either made an incredible throw on the run or he just went for a run. And that's why Petrino wanted him. Petrino wanted him because of seeing the dynamic that he's 6'6". I mean, he's a huge quarterback and can really run. And we all know it's like a dual threat quarterback can cause fits for opposing defenses. He's that good. But it's a matter if it's his decision making and his mental toughness. He also has 5 interceptions this year. And I think I would say maybe one of them might not be his fault, but the other ones have been tough. But his offensive line, honestly, truly has been the best pass protection offensive line that Sam Pittman recruited to Arkansas, ironically enough. And I think that that's also helped him gain confidence. He's a lot healthier this year. So if he plays his A game, it's going to be a phenomenal watch for anybody who's a fan of college football. But he has to play his A game, and he has to avoid making any major mistakes.
Quarterback battle should be a good one. Should be one of the better ones. There's some good quarterback battles this Saturday. I think this one's right up there as well. Tennessee will call some design quarterback runs for Joey Aguilar. He is elusive. He does such a great job of avoiding pressure, extending plays, keeping his eyes downfield, making a throw. Tennessee will often call quarterback design runs. They did early on, and I think it was the ETSU game. They won it, or they tied it, against Mississippi State by calling his own number. Do they call design runs for Green, or is it more of him just making something happen? I mean, third and Green sounds like it's just him kind of scrambling, but do they call some design runs?
You know what's crazy is they do. I know that there's been a lot of cases where he's just ran and scrambled because they've given him that free reign. But against Ole Miss, I'll never forget it. I was in the press box for that and watching. There was a third and long. I think it was 3rd and 9. But still, with the game on the line, it's late. And he takes the snap, and it is a called quarterback draw where he takes snap and he just runs forward and he gains 15, 16 yards. And I remember in the press box, everyone was like, what a call. And because Petrino's one of the great offensive minds, but it's a matter of knowing that he's capable of doing that. And you want to have design runs. Of course, you want to protect your quarterback, but Petrino looks at it as like, hey, I'm not going to, this guy's a weapon. This guy has such an incredible gift of his athleticism with his legs. we would be stupid not to use it and use it effectively and also keep defenses on their toes. So a lot of it is called. They try to avoid it, like, getting out of bounds when you can, maybe roll out to the left or the right. But even when you go forward, man, he can make you miss. He's one of those guys that's so tall and so fast, it looks like he's not running very fast, but he is with those long strides. So I think you'll see a combination of a lot of that, but they got to keep him healthy. And that's priority number one. And because last year, Tennessee knocked him out of the game. Their backup came in and did a pretty good job of Malachi Singleton. He's no longer here, but I think that's got to be the priority, keeping him healthy, but also make sure you're utilizing his strengths as much as possible.
Taylen Green and Joey Aguilar, two really good quarterbacks. They got to have help, though, right? Who are some of those go-to guys? Plus, game picks. How's this one going to shake out at Neyland Stadium on Saturday? Locked On crossover with Locked On Razorbacks, Locked On Vols continues next. College football is so back. Bobby Petrino's the interim coach at Arkansas. If that didn't scream college football's back, I don't know what does. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's nothing like it. But let's be real. Sometimes getting tickets to college football games is tougher than the game itself, right? Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use the Gametime app. The app gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute deals, best prices, no surprise fees at checkouts. What you see is what you pay for. I love in the Gametime, they've got the Gametime guarantee where if you find a cheaper ticket in the same section on another app, they're going to credit you 110% of that price. Plus, the most dynamic, the best customer service policy, flexible customer service in the ticketing industry. Plus, what you see is what you get. They'll show you your view from your seat before you check out. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets today with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, put in the redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Swipe, tack, ticket, go. Download the Gametime app today. So a shout out to Gametime and a big shout out to our friends over at Square. Neighborhood runs on the Square. Here in the Knoxville area, Underdog Collectibles, Games and Things, Dose Bros, right? Tennessee baseball, big fan of Dose Bros. That runs on Square. There's certain businesses like those in the neighborhood that really are the neighborhood. They're the places that become extensions of home, whether it's a sports bar dedicated to your team's favorite fan base, a spot with the best wings in town for game day, or a beloved chain that's rooted in your community for years. There's businesses bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives together. Square is a proud sponsor, a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/LockedOnCollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. Me and the wife are tonight. It's going to be a blast. You'll be happy you did. Square, where we will see you in the neighborhood. Joey Aguilar has Chris Brazzell, who still, despite the bye week last week, tied for the national lead in 7 touchdown receptions. Completely different player than he was this time last year. John, a guy that was just kind of a guy. Didn't really do an awful lot. It feels like he can be open on any route. He's playing with a ton of confidence, and he is surging up draft boards. So a go-to guy. I wouldn't even say he's the go-to guy, but he is a playmaker. That is Chris Brazzell for Tennessee's Joey Aguilar. Another guy, Mike Matthews, of course, former 5-star. He's come alive, a couple of 100-yard receiving games. Braylon Staley in the slot. Tennessee doesn't play many wide receivers, but all three of those guys have been so good, man. They've all, took turns kind of being the Batman on that day and all that, but Chris Brazzell, certainly when you're tied for the national lead in touchdowns, about said home runs and touchdowns, you're doing something right. So it looks like, just kind of a quick glance at Arkansas, by the way, all transfers pretty much in the skill positions, but the go-to guy for Taylen Green is without a doubt Omega Blake, because he has more than double the amount of receptions as the next closest guy.
Yeah, he was the biggest pickup in the transfer portal from Charlotte that Arkansas got. And, people talk about Petrino offenses and about the quarterback, which is important, but honestly, it's the wide receivers that make the difference. Last year, they had wide receivers that were holdovers, which were good wide receivers, but Petrino went and got the type of wide receivers that he wanted this year, and Omega Blake was definitely the main one. And so you can tell he's got everything. And one of the most impressive things about him is when he catches the ball, it's not necessarily his home run. It's the way he breaks tackles after catch. I mean, he will stiff arm you. He is strong. He plays aggressive. And so if you have secondary players or cornerbacks that don't bring him down, it's going to be bad news because he is that good. So he's been incredible. The player that's really stepped up recently is Rohan Jones, the tight end. He's a guy that came from up north, and he's actually from Canada originally. Started playing football just a few years ago. This random guy that people didn't really know much about, but he has really showcased his athleticism at the tight end position. And I think Taylen Green has started to feel so good about him and everything. But you don't have Jaylen Brown, who is a player that Arkansas did have, but has gotten hurt. But really, I know it's a cop-out thing, but there's so many options where there's not necessarily, I mean, Omega Blake's great, but there's not necessarily just like, oh, this one or two go-to guy. They share it across the board. I mean, they really do. And it makes it tough to plan for. I don't think any of these guys are game breakers on their own, but because of the options that Taylen Green has, it could be really complicated for a defense to try to slow down.
Rohan Jones, who is not even the starting tight end, right? Another transfer, go figure, from Montana State. 6 catches, 220 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, is he fat? Like, do they throw a screen to him and he's gone? I mean, those are 36 yards per catch, man.
Yeah, he's the guy that when he catches the ball, this is my theory. When he catches the ball, everyone's like on the field, oh, a tight end, we can get him. And then you're like, oh crap, and he's gone. Like he's a big dude, but his speed, especially when he gets north and south, is a lot better than people give it credit for or really expect. And I think that's what's really opened him up. And he's really good at catching the ball in traffic. But Arkansas, again, they have certain tight ends that they use. Jaden Platt, the transfer for A&M, is more of like a blocking tight end. He's gotten some in the passing, but blocking tight end. Andreas Poski is another tight end, was on the team last year, but it seems like he's just there to randomly catch touchdown passes on occasion. Like that's just what he does. But Rohan is definitely he's just a big wide receiver is what it reminds me of. And I think in that position, you take advantage of those matchups when you have against linebackers because he's a lot more athletic and a lot more speedy than those guys.
Something, at least from the Tennessee side, I'm going to be paying attention to in this one. Tennessee is still running the football fine. Not as consistent against Georgia and against Mississippi State. They got the yards later on when they needed to. I mean, they both had over 100 yards rushing, but in terms of what you did against Syracuse and obviously the cupcakes way down. I look at Arkansas's rush defense, and Memphis almost ran for 300 yards. Why? What the heck happened in that game? And I know, I think Notre Dame ran for over 200, whatever. But why did Memphis almost run for 300 yards?
I mean, I think it's the basics that Petrino talked about. It was just out of position, not tackling. Okay. No effort, no sense of urgency, just all the things you don't want to see from anybody on a team. And again, I want to reiterate, I'm not saying that if Arkansas does those things, then suddenly they become a top tier defense. It's not. Yeah. But that when you ask why Memphis did what they did, it was because of that. Xavier Sori, who in the first 3 games of the year, the transfer linebacker from Georgia a couple years ago, he was phenomenal. But then in that Memphis game, something changed. He just he was not tackling. He was not wrapping up. He was out of position. Just looked a mess. And when your captain, your best player on defense is doing that, suddenly I think it just kind of follows suit. So those are the things I think Razorback fans are hoping get remedied. It was not that Memphis was just scheming them up or that Arkansas just didn't have the Jimmies and Joes against Memphis and AAC team. It was simply they didn't do the little things that you need to do as a defense. And that's pretty much why the situation you're in right now, where Sam Pittman's no longer the coach and Bobby Petrino's been moved in and the entire defensive staff is fired.
Tennessee will turn to Deshaun Bishop and Star Thomas, kind of a 1-2 punch in the backfield. And both those guys at different times this year have had some really good success. Deshaun Bishop had the overtime game winner, 25 yards to beat Mississippi State. Star Thomas has led Tennessee in rushing in 3 of the 5 games so far. So it's a 1-2 punch for Tennessee in this one. All right, keys of the game for me. For Tennessee to win this football game, Tennessee is a great, even on defense, Tennessee is a great starting football team, great first quarter football team. Not knowing what you're going to get defensively, I think kind of complicates the script a little bit, which is intriguing. But offensively, Tennessee in a game where Arkansas, I think, is going to score some points. Tennessee's got to come in there and do what it does offensively and go score and, act like and, be the number 1 offense in this league. And I think Tennessee's got to get off to a good start here in this first quarter of this football game. That's spread. Thanks to our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook, 13.5. The total is at 65.5, which is just wow. I'm going to go under. I have a hard time believing there's going to be that many points. I'm going to go under the total. I do think this is going to be, gosh, man. I mean, again, you feel so much better about the Arkansas of the world where their record might not look good. They might have fired their head coach, but Arkansas can score, right? And so I think it'll be close there for a little bit, but I think Tennessee will pull away. I'll get Tennessee to cover and win by 2 touchdowns, but I do think it's going to be a pretty good game for 3 quarters. Give me Tennessee. I don't have a final score, but I'll pick Tennessee to cover. Give me the under there. But I think it's all dependent on that first quarter. I think they need to get off to a good start. What say you?
Yeah, it's hard to predict, again, when it goes back to, Bobby Petrino being the head coach. I do think it's funny, though, that, last year, Tennessee losing to Arkansas guaranteed Sam Pittman another year. I mean, that win alone. And this year, if Arkansas won, it would basically guarantee Bobby Petrino would be the next head coach permanently. So Tennessee has a lot to say when it comes to Arkansas football future, apparently. But listen, it's anytime that anyone says that, it's like, oh, look at the stats and the numbers, it's going to be a shootout. Almost never seems to really be as much as what people think. But I will say this. If it's not a shootout and if it's kind of maybe an ugly game, if it's a game that doesn't get a lot of scoring for either team, I think Arkansas wins. I really do, because that's the type of game Arkansas is going to need to have happen for them to win this game. They need it to be gross. They need it to be kind of like last year. Last year was not aesthetically pleasing offensively, and that's why they won. So it needs to be something like that. But if Tennessee just wrecks Arkansas's defense and is scoring on the first 4 possessions touchdowns and they get 28 points, it's going to be Tennessee all the way. Like I just don't see that happening to where Arkansas, even if they do score a bunch of points, they're not going to be able to keep up with Tennessee effectively. And I think that's kind of like the worst case for Arkansas, because then it's like, well, I know that Tennessee's a great offense, but then you're like, well, this really was not any different from any other game that Arkansas played. But I think that if Arkansas is going to have a chance, it's got to be low scoring. But I don't think that's going to happen until I'm proven otherwise. So I kind of agree with you. I think Tennessee wins this one, covers the spread, and ends up taking care of business and moving on.
Should be an exciting one either way. Some fireworks, plenty, hopefully, for Tennessee, at least at Neyland Stadium for the Vols portion of this podcast. We'll see what happens, man. Want to learn anything else about the Razorbacks, what's going on inside that program? A lot of adversity, a lot of transition happening the last couple of weeks. Check out John Nabors on Locked On Razorbacks and John Nabors on Inside Arkansas. Check him out over there. They do fantastic work. And, of course, if you're a Razorback fan, want to know more about the Vols, more about Tennessee in this matchup, come check us out over at Locked On Vols all week long. We'll get you set for Tennessee and Arkansas, 4:15 Eastern Time, Neyland Stadium, coming up on Saturday on the SEC Network. Appreciate you guys for joining us here. Locked On Crossover. It's Razorbacks meets Vols right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.